weiß Bescheid. Intendo.
Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast on the planet. Prepare to reevaluate everything you've been taught.
They can tell us we're crazy, and we can say, well, you haven't seen anything yet. Everything you knew was a goddamn lie. Would you up and explode like it's the 4th of July? Possessed by perfection in this land, if you're awake, you're the enemy. Where they lead, you will follow. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. And if you look away, you'll be doing what they say. And if you look alive, you'll be singled out and tried. Every day. Pick the scene and take direction. And on I search to connect, but I don't wear a mask and I have no regret. Down on your knees, you don't look so tall. Open your eyes and the empire falls.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today is November, if I've done this correctly, it is Tuesday, November 21st. Now I am recording this. Oh, wait a second. We've got a call coming through. I wonder who it could be.
We will immediately suspend your account and stop providing you with all services. If you have any questions, please press 0, English, and 1, Chinese.
Ooh, threats. They're threatening me with the scams. This is funny. Do people still fall for this scam bullshit? Like, I mean, I guess they do because these scam companies are everywhere. But honestly, why? Why do they exist? Why don't the people that build these scam companies, like, imagine if they put the same amount of effort into doing something legitimate. That's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Today is the 24th, 21st. Let's take another look here. Let's see. Today should be the 21st. These are pre-recorded. I am away on vacation. Currently, I'm probably sitting on a beach somewhere enjoying, hopefully enjoying the sunshine, not sitting in a typhoon somewhere wishing I'd booked a different trip. But this is one of those things that a lot of people don't pay attention to. They don't understand that there are, you can pre-program stuff, you can do stuff, you can set things ahead, you can get all kinds of, people to do the work for you, outsource this, that, and the other thing. You can do a lot of things mobile when you're self-employed, and there's an absolute freedom to it that scares people, believe it or not. And that's kind of a crazy thing to think about. I want to work so hard and I only want to get X amount of holidays. Who told us? Who? God damn it. Which one of you said that we have to work for somebody else and we have to hate our job and we have to be suffering all the time? Somebody said that. That's not everybody. And that's not all the time. But, for the most part, that's the society that we live in. We've been taught and trained that we have to do this. We have to do it this way. And if we don't do it this way, we're not good enough. Right? So you take your $250,000 paycheck from your employee. You immediately give half of that away to taxes. And then you pay tax on everything else that you've owned. So it's just more tax. So it doesn't matter how hard you work for somebody else. It's just all going away in taxes. Now, you work for yourself, and there are loopholes. Ooh, people don't want to talk about tax loopholes, but they exist. And when you can find out what they are, and when you can waltz through certain things and not have to pay certain taxes and not have to work so hard for your money, things are different. Liberation comes free. The fact that we have to basically defend ourselves 24/7 from our own government, and that we believe that they're the good guy, and that if we don't do what they say, we're the bad guy. Somehow, living your own free life makes you a terrorist. How is that even possible? Anyway, I don't necessarily need to go down that tangent. If you all remember, which I'm sure some of you do, and probably all of you, we are in the middle of a multi-part series on how hardcore of a truther are you? And we've been doing 5 per episode. But last time I inadvertently did 6. Because I started with the school system is an indoctrination tool for the elites, which would have been point 1 on this podcast. But I didn't know, and I'm not going to repeat. So if you guys want to, if you haven't heard last episode, I think that was episode 272. Go check that one out. That's a good one. But yeah, this is part 6. And instead of starting on point 26, we're going to start on point 27. How hardcore of a truther are you? Transgenderism stems from opposite sex DNA found in vaccines. I disagree with this. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I don't know what's in the vaccines. I know that they should not be fucking trusted. I know that I had no say in the vaccines that were stuck in me the first time. I also know that the Tuskegee experiments were a thing. This is all just weird. And when you really start looking back on it, like the booster shots that were like making people's arms go numb way back in the day, I'll tell you what, I don't like it. And I don't think anyone who starts truly opening their mind and starts looking at this shit could actually potentially like this. It's like, well, they got rid of polio. Blah, blah, blah. Polio also has a patent on it. So perhaps they got rid of polio, but they created polio. My take on it, the transgenderism thing, my take on it is, I don't think that, I mean, it's a strange position. I don't know about DNA. I don't know why people want to be transgendered. I do have some solid friends, that have kids that have done the trans thing. One of my friends is, I don't even know if he's my friend anymore because he kind of stopped talking to me because of the stuff I post, but it's kind of stupid because if you find the people that are like, you have to be accepting of everything, these are the people that hate the most. And they're like, you don't accept my views? Fuck you. As opposed to, hey man, like I'm not accepting anything. I'm sort of just observing, living, questioning. Yeah, but when you call their parenting into question, they hate you. It's a shame. It's a shame that, I wouldn't say I've lost a friendship over it, but because this is like a buddy that, when you're kids, like you just grow up with these guys. These guys are like deep rooted in your system. That something will come up years from now, and I'm sure we'll pick up like we never skipped a beat. But I've got other friends that had transitioning teenagers, and I thought, hey, that's a thing. And a buddy of mine, 2 of his kids did this. So I was like, okay, well, hey, like maybe there's something to it. I don't know. And what are we led to believe? We're led to believe that everybody has been living in pain and agony, that they can't be themselves for decades. And now it's finally time for everybody to live their life the way they want to. Honestly, go ahead. If you're trapped in a man's body or a woman's body or whatever, do your thing. It doesn't really affect me. What I mean by that is like, I don't care. In other words, if you're a dude in a dress, cool. If you're a chick in jeans, I don't know. It doesn't really work so much the other way. It's like, really when you sort of break it down, you're looking at this and it's kind of like there are men and there are women and there are men who apparently want to use the women's bathroom. And I'm just like, meh, I don't know. I don't really care. I think it's weird. I think it's unfair to real women. Born women. But I am happy to see that the narrative is shifting, wherein like, had I said real women before, I would have been fucking canceled. But now anyone who tries to cancel anybody, they just draw attention to somebody who's speaking the truth. So, I mean, cancel away. My opinion is not one of ignorance. You know what? It might be one of ignorance. It's not one of aggression or anger or negativity. It could be a position. I could be standing on a position of ignorance because I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. None of us fucking know. Honestly, we don't. We just have an opinion on whatever for whatever reason. Norm Macdonald said it best. He goes, remember back in the day when if somebody had more than one opinion, they were opinionated, and opinionated was bad. Oh, yeah, that guy's got a lot of opinions. He's opinionated. That's pretty funny. I think, though, transgenderism is being perpetuated, and I think it is being perpetuated by vaccines. I don't think that they're injecting DNA into and making people think this and think that. I think that the high mercury content is affecting people's brains. I think the aluminum content in a lot of deodorants still affecting people's brains. I think the fluoride in the systems are affecting people's brains. I think the hormones in the food that we eat are affecting all of our brains 100%. No matter how diligent you think you are with the food, it's wild. And I think that there are people that have mental illness. And I think that these are the people that are doing this transition thing. So if you take it like if you got a mental illness, if you think for yourself, oh, I've got, something's not right with me. And then somebody comes up and says, hey, maybe you're a chick trapped in a dude's body. Hey, cut your wiener off. That's weird. But maybe that's the thing that catches them. Maybe, that's me. That's how I feel. So that's the thing, the people that have, and this is certainly a hot topic, but the people that have a mental disorder may believe they're trans. And if that's the case, they may undergo the operation. But I'm seeing a lot of stuff pop up, and the internet's just this way. But for whatever you want to see or whatever you think you want to see, the internet's going to show you that clip. So that's why everybody can just be like, oh, I saw this and I looked that up and this is what's happening here. And these are my experiences and you're wrong and I'm right. That shit's all poppycock to me, because nobody's right or wrong. Everybody's just witnessing something being handed to them, and they're like, no, that's not how the internet works. Bro, you can have a thought and somehow that thing shows up on Facebook. If you're watching a movie, you can try this any day of the week. If you're watching a movie and you've got your phone there, let your phone just chill out and sit and hang out with you for, 20 minutes, half an hour while you're watching the movie. And then Google any actor in that movie's first name. Robin, Larry, whatever. The actor that's in that movie will be the first one that Google propagates, because Google knows what movie you're watching. So yeah, all the information you think that you're finding, even this podcast, and I've said this 1,000 times, do not take anyone at 100% on their word. And I'm telling you, I don't know 100% of things. These are just my opinions from extrapolation from information that I've acquired hither and yon. I feel like, however, I should slap this button right here.
Disclaimer. If you're going to soundbite any of this podcast, you must soundbite it in its entirety for consistency and context.
The last thing I want is anyone to say anything about the trans things that I just said. Oh boy, how dare he have an opinion? And I do. I think that there's too much going on right now. I think that the bastardization of men. I also have been looking at the sudden deaths, and how many times have we heard about SIDS, sudden infant death, right? and now we're hearing about adult infant death. Wait a minute, that's not right. Adult infant death would be AIDS. Ooh, that's a rough one. Adult sudden death. Sudden death. Oh, sudden adult death. Oh, I will say this. It has been a long day, and I'm cramming everything in simply because, again, my flight leaves in about 12 hours. So when you're listening to this, I will be on a beach, but right now I'm tired. I lost my train of thought. Now, the transgenderism is an issue, and I think it's an intentional one. The sudden infant death that I was talking about, and the sudden adult death, SADS, which is a new thing, but it exists. You can Google it. SADS, sudden adult death. The only common denominator is vaccine, but I'm not allowed to say that or think it or even admit that maybe I might have once thought it. I don't know. Pretty sketchy stuff, but it's a loaded question. I mean, there's all kinds of weird DNA and splicing, and I mean, I've seen articles talking about how it changes your DNA, and they're like, no, it doesn't. And they're like, yeah, yes, it does. Contradictory articles. So who knows? I do know that we are under attack, and I do know that the trans people are just as much a victim as the non-trans people of the very attack that's going on. Some people are more susceptible to certain things, ideologies, chemicals, but it's all being pumped into our system, and we aren't any different from each other. So don't fight each other, trans, non-trans, whatever. Also, back in the day, it was gay. You were gay, right? Trans is this thing that's like all of a sudden everybody wants to fucking cut their dicks off, according to the community, according to the media, according to the news. Trans is a huge step from being like, maybe I'm gay. Maybe I don't like women. And how could you not like women? So beautiful. And that's the thing. I mean, even women. Everybody likes everybody, right? So why we got to slap these labels on absolutely everything and just be like, I'm fucking defined by my labels? Come on. Anyway, I could go on for hours and hours about that topic, but it'd be good to have a guest on with that topic, somebody that's talking some stuff. For me, it's just extrapolation from ideologies and seeing what I see from everywhere else. But sudden infant death should be looked into more and more, because if these kids, if these babies, if these tiny, tiny, tiny humans are getting jabbed with 57 chemicals, within 30 days of being born, what the fuck? It's crazy to think. It's fucking mad. Moving on. Number 28. Pesticides are a lead cause in the nation's cancer crisis. 100%. Pesticides were a wonderful thing that once got rid of certain pests on certain things, and then the farmers would rinse the veggies, and humans would consume, and the pests wouldn't eat, and everybody would make money. But then Monsanto came in, and all part of their BlackRock thing, and they started creating seeds and creating gluten, for example. Remember when gluten came out? You'd make fun of people who were gluten insensitive, and all the people who were lactose intolerant, such as myself, would be like, you're just making shit up. We were the annoying ones for a long time. But it's true. All the food that we're eating, especially in North America, who the fuck knows what it is? This gluten allergy, gluten didn't exist years ago. It's an additive. It's an additive in most foods now. And we have insensitivities to the chemical, and we were taught to make fun of the people that had gluten allergies. But the truth is, we all do, and we all will eventually. And there's just some crazy shit going on with regards to our food. Is that something that we have to worry about? Honestly, just be diligent with it. Don't worry about anything, because that's kind of the intent too. They want the third dimensional people worried about the news, and they want the fifth dimensional people worried about all the possible conspiracy theories that could ever be anything. I mean, it's kind of madness if you allow it to be. But when you don't pay attention to it, and when you don't sit in there and with it, it doesn't fucking matter. I know that a lot of food is shit, and some of it I still eat because it's fucking delicious. But most of it I don't. Fast food, out the door. For the most part, all that stuff's got to go. Processed food, it's going inch by inch, piece by piece. I love my cold cuts, but that shit's terrible for you too. So bad. So what do? Grocery store. Who knows? Eat around the don't eat anything from the center. Just eat around the aisles, they say. But at that same thing, there's fucking mist hitting the veggies to keep them quote unquote fresh. Who knows what's inside that water? Who knows what's going on? And then you're like, okay, well, I'll just grow my own. That works too, but not always, especially if you're living in the city. So it's just simply a matter of being conscious of it and not worrying about it. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, we all die, we all leave. That is part of life. Life cannot exist without death. It's an inevitability. So don't stress it too much. Just sort of see what's going on. Dabble away, as it were. But as it says here, it is the leading cause of cancer. Maybe it is. Because I think that the food that we eat is intentionally giving us cancer. These guys doing cancer research, I don't think nobody's trying to cure cancer. I mean, some people might be, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of that money goes towards developing ways to give people cancer. And we talked about this in the last episode too. Look at sunscreen, for Christ's sakes. Where are we here? Number 29. NASA was established using the expertise of Nazi scientists after World War II. Now, some of you may or may not know this, but I wasn't alive after World War II. So my best guess is that it's true. I've heard it running around, this rumor. And I know Wernher von Braun was the head of NASA for a while. I also know he's tied to the Nazis. And I also know that he's got a biblical verse on his tombstone. So feel free to look up Wernher von Braun. Feel free to look up his biblical verse. And then feel free to look up what that biblical verse means. So, I mean, is NASA a joke? 100%. I know the people that have worked with NASA. I know some people that have worked in NASA. And every single department gets a piece of a project. Nobody knows really what's going on. They're just trying to figure out one or two things, hither and yon. So, do I trust NASA? Not at all. Do I believe in space? Honestly, I don't. I don't believe space can possibly exist as delivered. It just simply can't. It doesn't. I mean, think about Star Trek or any space thing. Every single time ships meet, they come nose to nose, which is utter bullshit because the third dimension of space, if you're trying to meet up at any one point, you're coming from any possible direction. There is no up or down. But the implication is that there is an up and down. Another fun thing to look at too is the sign language for Earth. What does that look like? Just feel free to look that up. I don't believe NASA. I don't believe anything, anything that NASA has to say. I think that everything's a scam, but I think that NASA is the biggest joke in the world. Let's see here. Where are we now? Number 30. Both world wars, I'm assuming they're talking about World War I and World War II, had ulterior motives that were accomplished. And in brackets, it says the NWO, New World Order, Hogan. Objectives were furthered. And I agree with that. I think that there's a lot of proof that there was a previous civilization on here called Tartaria. And that a lot of our buildings, the red brick buildings, come from Tartaria. And a lot of the world wars were us destroying the buildings to hide a history or assist in creating the current version of history that we see in front of us right now. These buildings are everywhere. And if you look at the World's Fair, Chicago World's Fair, Los Angeles World's Fair, there was a civilization that lived here before. So you can look into Tartaria, and you can look into red bricks, you can look into star forts, you can look into building melt, you can look into mud floods. All of these things equate to the fact that we are living on top of another civilization. There's also been rumor of tons and tons of tunnels underneath where we are, and this underground society, and all of this stuff. And I don't disagree with it. I think that there's a high likelihood that it's all truly there. I think what we've been allowed to know about this world, very limited. And I think that while we're all hunting down the greenback dollar, there's a million things that we're missing out on in life, a million experiences that we're not taking part in, and a million pieces of ourselves that we're neglecting or making fun of other people for trying to look into. I think that the agendas in all war to me is population control. I think that everything really does boil down to population control. We talked about this in the last episode too. I don't think that the humans are the top of the food chain. We've all heard about reptilians and lizards and the greys and all this sort of stuff, but I firmly believe that there are a group of people here that feed off our energy one way or the other. They need us, they feed off us, and they keep us running around in a perpetual state. So, I don't know, maybe I am tinfoil Hattie, maybe I'm Looney Tooney, But that's kind of how I feel about that. Where are we here? So we've done 27, 28, 29, and 30. And we're up to about 20 minutes-ish, 22, 23 minutes. So we've covered it. We've gotten the good 20 to 25 minute window in here, which puts us on pace for the next episode being 31 through 35, and then the final episode being 36 through 40. So yeah, this turned into a 8-part series, which is kind of how I thought it was going to go in the first place. But I'm excited for it. I mean, at the end of the day, all of these things can be summed up in the fact that if you have the ability to look through your own brain and to question your own thoughts and your own ideologies, you're going to come up with some pretty wild stuff. If you've ever had any idea as well that you sort of did want to get on your own or start a podcast or start a business, reach out to us, man. That's our wheelhouse. We have a few openings, and I'm taking them right now. I'm taking this opportunity in the break in schedule to take off for a couple weeks. So last week's episode and this episode were both pre-recorded, and I have been sunning my cheeks on beautiful beaches. But next week we're back in studio and recording and talking and creating more. So if you guys want to get involved, if you guys want to start a podcast, if you've got a message, if you've got something out there that you want to talk about, reach out to us. TheMentalMasteryAlliance.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram. We are Instagram.com/The Mental Mastery Alliance. Check us out, hit us up, ask your questions, because the last thing you need to do is sit there and suffer through a job you don't want to work at when you could literally be self-employed, talking into a microphone, getting paid, and having the time of your life. What do I know? What do I know? I'm just some guy flapping his gums in your ear. But I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and I hope you're having a lot of fun listening. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.